Chapter 9. After paying the hotel bill, which for some reason didn't include breakfast, you helped me with my suitcase and we walked to your electric blue Jeep. I found a CD with pop music from the late 90s, early 2000s in the glove box. I asked if you would mind if I played it. You said no, and we listened to the music for the whole ride. It felt weird. It gave me strange, alien feelings, sitting next to you and listening to the CD. I remember we drove to the central train station of Madrid, Atocha. I remember how spectacular the weather was. In all honesty, I was blessed with amazing sunny blue skies for the whole trip. When I picture myself running around freely, it's easy to see why Spain just feels like home. From this station, you can take trains to every region of the country. They're high-speed trains. Isn't that awesome? Look, the buses are over that way. We walked through the shops in the station, sometimes holding hands. I felt immensely uncomfortable as guilt invaded my heart. Because of the illicit status of our relationship, I was afraid that you would be seen by someone you knew, a friend or an acquaintance of hers or yours, and they would end up telling her what they saw. I'm not a good liar. I never was. Remorse and guilt were consuming me. I just wanted to be invisible. For reasons I still don't understand, even today, I didn't want you to fight with her. I wanted you to be with her, to stay with her forever. Maybe because I knew deep down that you were genuinely in love with her, while I was just a temporary passenger in the co-pilot seat of your Jeep. I was just someone you'd forget the second after you saw her again, as you both moved on building your life together. I was someone you'd forget, like these days never happened. Now I remember. She has a friend who works here at the station. You told me. No, let whatever's meant to happen, happen. I went way too far with you to go backwards now, not when we're at this point. You told me bravely, ready to accept any consequence that this moment would have on you and your future with her. Are you absolutely sure? I asked you, concerned and anxious. I was so afraid that someone would see us together. However, at the same time, I felt for the first time in the entire trip that you were willing to do anything for me, for us. Of course, this was before you told me what you told me. The needle that burst the bubble, my bubble, that thread of hope that you'd formalize things between us and make our relationship official after all this time, snapped in a matter of seconds. Yes, I'm sure. Let's go that way, where there are more shops. Maybe you'll want to buy something. You suggested, holding my hand. We walked through the whole station. Coincidentally, there was an artisanal fair, my weakness. At first you came with me to see some of the stands, but eventually you went to sit outside the fair. I didn't notice until moments later, when I looked around for you and saw you checking your phone. I decided to ignore what I'd seen, so I wouldn't ruin our last hours together. I decided to ignore the fact that you were chatting with her while you were with me, so I let myself be distracted by the necklaces, earrings, bags, and shawls. I didn't put up any resistance. You came and stood next to me at one stand selling white dresses, all of them beautiful. I once dreamed of you wearing a white dress at the beach. You told me with melancholy. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. That's amazing. I truly thought about buying a white dress for this trip. For years I imagined wearing a white dress with my hair dyed red. I told you, with some regret. Do you still want to dye your hair red? I know you wanted to when we lived in Lima, you said to me, with certain need to sabotage my wish to show off a rebellious look. I already dyed it some years ago, but only the ends. I don't want the pressure of maintaining the colour before it eventually fades to a red brick orange. It takes too much patience and money that I don't have, especially patience. The idea that I'd have to sit for hours in the hairdresser's chair makes me want to run away instead of motivating me. I said, my tone of voice changing with every sentence. Later on, we walked by a few stores offering prices that were ridiculously cheaper than the market. Would you like me to buy you something? You offered gently, as always, but here is my confession. At that point, I wasn't excited by presents anymore. Instead, they made me feel a little offended. Suddenly, I felt like I was your child and not your ex. Please don't misunderstand my comment. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just confessing that a normal and kind gesture no longer had the same effect it once did. I didn't know it anymore. No, I mean, yes, but better not, I said, utterly confused. Yes or no? You replied, visibly annoyed. Yes, but I don't have enough space in my luggage, and I don't want to walk around with 1,000 bags everywhere in the airport and on the plane. I told you, annoyed at your annoyance. As you wish, you said, still very confused. I do need to find a pharmacy, though. This headache is drilling into my head, almost blurring my view. I said to you as I tried to massage my forehead. Yes, of course. This way. Come. You held my hand and let me move at my own pace. It was one of the best moments of the trip. I felt so protected by you, like I used to feel when we were together in Lima. I would not have changed this feeling for anything in the world. We walked with purpose to a pharmacy inside the station. You gave me a hug. Inside my stone-covered heart, I loved your caring gestures, and I desperately wanted you to continue. For a few seconds, I envisioned our future, just like this, walking together hand in hand, growing old together. I guess romanticism is a virus, one that doesn't have a vaccine yet. Why do you think you got the headache? Could it be stress? You asked, obviously concerned and hoping to find a solution for me as soon as possible. No, it must be my PMS, I replied, slightly annoyed since this mood wasn't ideal for a day like this, a day to say goodbye. Now we're talking. Why didn't you mention this before? You exclaimed in relief. I had no idea I had to share my menstruation calendar with you, I said sarcastically. When I woke up in the morning and saw only your back, I had no idea how I should approach you. I was terrified of your reaction. I felt like those anti-explosive technicians ready to wear my protective helmet and padded suit and touch your back with a long stick just to check your mood. You confessed, being a clown once again. Well then, I hope you learned a lesson, to not judge someone's behaviour before learning more about them. I found myself laughing at your confession. You can be so incredibly hilarious sometimes. In fact, as I'm writing that moment down, I'm still laughing, even now, imagining you on the other side of the bed with your stick and helmet. If you really, really want to, you can be immensely funny. Besides, I already told you that I'm grumpy in the morning when I wake up, before I've showered. I don't like socializing when I look and feel dirty, I said, more annoyed. Dirty? You asked, surprised and irritated. What do you mean by dirty? You slept all night. It's not like you were off rolling in mud. You don't have to understand. Just leave it. We arrived at the pharmacy and asked the pharmacist for the pills. As soon as I got them, I took 2. Then we went for a bite, still inside the station. We ordered, and as we sat in that little cafe, I asked you, do you miss her? I didn't take my eyes off you. Yes, I do. You held my gaze steadily. Just a few more days, and you'll see her again. Don't forget to tell her that you missed her when you reunite. I told you as something inside me broke into a million little pieces, yet I would only show my best poker face to you. I would never let you see how profoundly your words hurt me, how big the hole in my heart was. Pride comes first, doesn't it? The way she smiles in the morning, what a woman. It doesn't matter what time it is, she always wakes up with a smile. That's what I miss the most about her, you said wistfully, while your eyes darted between my eyes and your cup of coffee. It's good that you remember and appreciate her special qualities. I told you as I drank my latte macchiato and felt my chest get heavier. Being with you made me realise, you said, then pressed your lips together and narrowed your eyes, almost like you were expecting a reaction out of me. Really? I replied, frivolously and naturally, as I searched your face without letting one single expression of emotion show on my own face. Being with you made me appreciate her more. You pressed your lips together again and narrowed your eyes even further, only this time you looked to the side. I was just dying, slowly and bit by bit. Good for you guys. That means you truly love her. I maintained a completely neutral face as I congratulated you, even as my stomach contracted painfully. I was alone for a long time, you know. I don't know if you recall the times I called your cell phone, from Lima all the way to that village you used to live in the Netherlands. I'd maxed my phone bill just in a couple of minutes, listening to your voice, even though you were already in a relationship with the blonde giant. You started to confront me, widening your eyes. You stared at me, having no intention of breaking your gaze away from me. I won't talk about that subject anymore, Libra. I explained everything already. It's beyond redundant, I said, annoyed and confused by your words and uncertain about where you were taking this. What I don't know is if I'll be able to keep myself from telling her about us and everything that happened on this trip. You said as your face twisted with a mix of anxiety, satisfaction, and remorse. Why did you have to say that? I don't get you, seriously. You just told me that you value her, you miss her, you love her. Why on earth would you tell her about us? I don't understand. Do you want her to leave you? No, you're fooling me. You wouldn't be such a stupid idiot as to ruin everything you have with her just for a fit of guilt. It's suicidal, what you just said, I said, losing my patience. If I tell her, I know I'll destroy her heart. It will cause so much pain. The problem is that I'm not a cheater. I never was. This is the first time it's happened, and only with you. I was just fine without you in my life until you came back, you exclaimed, throwing your teaspoon onto the table as you collapsed back into your chair, disturbed and overwhelmed. Now I'm the bad guy. Of course. I didn't plan anything. It just happened. Also, it's not like I threatened you with death to be here with me now. You wanted it as much as I wanted it myself. I shot back. My voice and face said it all. War was declared. I didn't say that, and I know nobody forced me to be here with you, you said without taking your eyes off me. You seemed decided, and I was so close to abandoning my poker face and going back to what I used to be, but my other me did not allow me to communicate without a filter. Shall we? I said, done with the nonsense conversation. We walked to your Jeep, which was nicely parked in the sun. I sat in the passenger seat, feeling uncomfortable and strange, thanks to our conversation. Do you want to go to the airport now? You asked casually. Whatever. I don't care. I don't even know how long it will take us to get there, I responded, disappointed and feeling unsure of myself. Let's see. We still have time. I know where I'll take you. Hold on, you said as you switched on the engine and calculated the distance of your destination. Where? I asked. You'll see, you said, lifting your brows and smirking in the way only you could. And that is how you started your journey in the middle of the afternoon. A few hours away from saying goodbye to each other, you drove through the centre of Madrid. I hate that I'm so bad with street names, but the truth is that I don't even pay attention to them. I only remember the road over the hills. Oh, in the areas where there were no buildings, we could truly appreciate the blue sky, regardless of the pollution. The sun was shining, the highway was nearly empty, and the backdrop of green mountains and colourful little houses would make the most perfect scene for a painting, a living painting. You held my hand every now and then, and all I wanted was for time to stop, so that you could be only mine. I never again felt this type of connection in my life. Minutes later we arrived at a street, rather green and with traffic lights around it. I'm not the best at describing places. You know me, especially when saying that a place is full of trees, when the city itself is full of trees and other green areas. It seemed to be a commercial area, but at that time of the day, it was not the busiest place. Is it a shopping centre? I asked, confused. How special can a mall, which isn't exactly historic, really be? Yes, but also, you told me, raising a brow and smiling. The Ice Palace? I read out loud, still very confused. Did you notice that here? Siblings wear the same outfits. You commented. I still don't know why. No, I didn't notice that, I said, clearly uninterested. And that the boss of the house is the wife, you added, as I wondered how on earth I was supposed to notice or know that, since you were the only person in that city I knew. Or were you trying to send me a hint? No, I haven't paid attention to that, I responded shortly. Maybe it was then that you remembered your words in the cafe and you were trying to make out with me. Or maybe that's just my idea. Trust issues. It'll always be the same with me. So we arrived at the shopping centre. It was dark and looked like everything was closed. Siesta time. Tricky working times they have here. At least for us tourists, it's very tricky. I very much respect the locals who divide their day into two parts for one workday. Where I used to live, there were no malls like these ones. With you, initially the mall felt like home, like almost everything did when I was next to you. It reminded me of the shopping centre I used to go to with my mother after school and office hours. It was our girls' time out to chat about everything and nothing and just spend quality time together. When we walked into the mall, I had a small flashback. While we waited for the shops to open, we went to the place where everything started, our first coffee many years ago, on the other side of the pond, with many sleepless nights and unsent letters, with a heart overflowing with love and anxiety, wishing I could stay next to you. There I was, about to explode. Why is it called the Ice Palace? I had to say something and focus my mind. Funny you asked. I'll show you in a moment, you said as you stared at me with those profound eyes of yours, those eyes that even after all these years managed to shake the ground beneath my feet. When we finished our coffee, you took me by the hand to a corridor a few meters away. The space was desolate and had hardly any lights on. I was missing you already. I didn't want to leave. A strong voice inside me screamed at me, demanding that I leave everything to be with you, to give us another chance, even after all we'd been through. My romantic heart and I naively thought that things between us could still work out, as long as there was love, as long as there was this feeling, this unexplainable and strong bond like ours could just be possible. Despite my rocky shell, it was the first time in a long time that I felt like my original version, the other me. Could it be possible that in that moment I found myself? I felt so natural, like a sunny morning in El Retiro Park. Where are you taking me? What are you going to do with me? If you had funny intentions, you should have said so in the first place. There's no need for all this mystery, I teased. You shook your head from side to side, lips parted. Your typical reaction, the same that would always steal a smile from me. I miss you so much, and it hurts. You wish I would do to you what you're thinking, you responded arrogantly. I always loved your dark humour. I loved you. We walked a few meters further until I saw it. This is why it's called the Ice Palace. You told me without dropping my hand, and my heart stopped. It was one of the best moments of the trip. I loved you a million moons more. An ice rink! Oh my God! It's beautiful. It's huge and marvelous. I told you, my eyes sparkling with happiness. I was a kid again. I loved ice rinks ever since I was little. Figure skating is the most beautifully abstract expression of how touching love can be, the passion, devotion, and the sensation of freedom. Thank you so much for bringing me here. Thank you. I hugged you and gave you one of the most genuine kisses we'd shared in a long time. Pure magnetism. Not only my lips touched you, my arms wrapped around you, my body was boiling. I touched your lips with their superpowers with the most brutal honesty.